Your name, your address, and your phone number are floating around the internet. Easy for strangers, scammers, and companies you've never heard of to find. Data brokers and shady databases collect and sell your private details to anyone willing to pay, putting you at risk of nonstop spam, scams, and fraud. You can't stop them from collecting data, but you can control who gets to keep it. That's why I use Incogni. They remove your private information from more than 420 of these sites automatically. And with their unlimited plan, you get total coverage. If you spot your personal details anywhere else online, just send them the link, and their privacy experts will get it taken down. It's the easiest, most complete way to protect yourself and personal life. Right now, you can lock in 60% off with my exclusive deal at privacykim.com. Go to privacykim.com right now and start protecting your privacy. This is so important. Privacykim.com. That's privacykim.com.
Thank you for listening to The Kim Komando Show for the weekend of February 3rd, 2024. Here's hour one.
All right, let's start off with just a little bit of trivia. How many YouTube videos are there on the planet? Think about this. How many YouTube videos are on our planet? Make a guess. Is it a trillion? Is it 100 million? Is it 1 billion? What do you think that number is? Okay, here's the answer. 14 billion videos. Oh my gosh. I think you could say it's a success. That's 1.5 for every person on planet Earth. Who figured all this out? Wasn't me. University of Massachusetts researchers also found that the most popular videos represent less than 4% of all the uploads, which reminds me, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel already, make sure that you do that. Go to youtube.com/Kim Komando because we have rolled out a brand new daily video podcast Monday through Friday. It's phenomenal. 10:30 a.m. on the Pacific Coast and also 1:30 p.m. on the East Coast. And so what that means is that you can watch me and Andrew, my co-host, and Ali Seligman, our content queen. We just talk about tech news. It's so much fun. Again, that's youtube.com/Kim Komando. And speaking of YouTube, I just love how all these young YouTubers are finally getting into classic rock. Yes, they're always telling everybody, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Oh, that one hurt even me. Hey, listen, you're about ready to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing. If you're just joining us for the first time, a warm welcome to you. Where the heck have you been? And if you're a regular listener, welcome back. You look amazing, darling. I'm, of course, Kim Komando, your beloved digital goddess here with you. It's the biggest show. It's the best show. It's the most trusted show about all things digital. You can find us on over 420 top stations across the United States. And we're also streaming as a podcast, as a webcast in your favorite podcast player, as well as inside the Komando community. And there you also get some other perks of benefit, like some webinars and classes. And also we have our Q&A message board, just a few bucks a month. Hit Komando.com and the button that says Komando Community. And a big hello and salute goes out to all of our listeners on the American Forces Network Radio, reaching over 375,000 U.S. service members in 175 different countries and 200 ships at sea get the Kim Komando Show. And I know you have at least a few questions that I can lend a hand to, and that's why our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And I need two things from each and every one of you. Number one, I need you to tell one person. That's all. The best way for us to grow the show and to continue to grow the show is for you to just tell one person. That's it. Say, I love the Kim Komando Show, and you should too. And number two is tell me what you like. Tell me what you want to hear more of. And that's over at Komando.com. There's a button that says Email Kim. All right, just for you, dear one, I check out at least 35, sometimes 40 different websites every single day to make sure that you and I are both up to date on all things digital. And here are the top 5 things that are happening right now. And we're going to start with Mark Zuckerberg. He has starred in some cringeworthy events before Congress. This one's past week was just unbelievable. You see, Mark Zuckerberg has outdone himself. After he was shown videos and videos of people and kids describing being sexually exploited on Facebook and Instagram, Senator Lindsey Graham told Zuckerberg that he has blood on his hands. Later, Zuckerberg stood and apologized to the families claiming that social media contributed to their children's suicide or sexual abuse. He said, "I'm sorry for everything you've all gone through. It's terrible. No one should have to go through things that your families have suffered. Then, gosh, in the very same appearance, he stated that there's no link between social media and mental health. So what the heck are you apologizing for, Mr. Zuckerberg? Number two, it looks like our Fourth Amendment right, the right for protection from unreasonable search and seizures, is on the clearance rack. Here's what went down. Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon wrote an open letter that the U.S. intelligence, including the Pentagon, has been buying our location data from our personal phones without a warrant. Yep, it's not just where we're located. They're also scooping up our internet browsing history and our metadata. That means they get a pretty good idea of all of our private lives based on our internet footprints. You know, they've actually been at it for years. You see, normally you need a court-appointed warrant for this kind of info, but there's a workaround. These agencies, like the Defense Intelligence Agency and the NSA, they're buying up the data from the third-party brokers. The agencies defend themselves saying, oh, it's all legal until a court says otherwise. Now, the Pentagon says, we're using this information responsibly. We have nothing to hide. I mean, we're using it to catch hackers and we're keeping American troops safe. Yeah, you haven't heard the last of this story. Moving on to number three, California lawmakers want to take control of our cars. As American buyers just shock politicians and activists because we're rejecting electric vehicles, the reaction of people living in California is something that we all need to watch. Because there's what's happening, the next big experiment in government control from politicians. Now, unbelievable. An absolute requirement that every passenger vehicle, every car, every truck, every bus sold or operated in the state of California must have a speed governor. What? Yeah, listen to this. These smart devices using GPS tracking data and land-based cameras to verify your speed, your vehicle, and your identity, and get ready for it, automatically slow your vehicle down as it approaches 10 miles per hour above the speed limit. It's Senate Bill 961. It's been introduced. The tech is here, and they want all of this to start within 3 years. But will the California drivers stand for it? And if it works in California, it's coming to a state near you. It sure is. Moving on to number four, fake dating profiles that stole millions. In Utah, a woman by the name of Nellie Idowu was just charged for a romance scam that cost her victims $6 million. She's going to prison for 6 years and she has to pay it all back. You see, but for 2 years, she was getting away with it. Nellie would create fake online personas of men looking for love. Then she would hunt down women over the age of 65, looking specifically for folks who have lost their husbands. Maybe they got divorced. And she'd lure them in and say that there was an urgent need for financial help. Of course, they'd give in. Many gave Nellie their entire life savings. So here's a tip. If you're going online dating, just remember, don't put that you're a widow, you're recently divorced on your profile. You're just going to be taken by a scammer. Moving at number five, this is happening in Oklahoma. State Senator Dusty Devers is introducing a bill that would turn watching porn into a felony. For all the single people in Oklahoma, sexting would be banned. So what's off limits under this bill? Essentially, any video that shows what Devers calls obscene materials. That's anything that describes or shows sexual acts. If the content doesn't have any serious value, like being educational, artistic, or political, it's banned. This includes pictures of private parts, lewd exhibition of the buttocks, is what he says. So, but if you're married, you get a free pass. Married couples can sext, watch porn, and share their own intimate photos, but only if they made them together. Breaking this law could land you in jail and also get a fine of $2,000. Oh, my gosh. Have you ever been to Oklahoma? Yeah, it's okay. All right. How about we start with Lise in Chandler, Arizona. Hello there, Lise.
So I'm kind of new to your newsletters. I've listened to your podcasts on KTAR for many years. And newsletters are great, so informative.
Thank you.
And I noticed that you talk a lot about AI and seem to be a good proponent of it. And I'm kind of a little bit on the other side of the fence in that I'm a little leery of AI or how much of it will come down the pike for us.
Oh no,
just,
I'm a proponent if you use it the right way.
yeah,
I'm very much fearful of what may happen in the future
yeah.
because
That's
without any controls, without any semblance of empathy, we have countries that are developing their own AI. We have something called generative AI, where that's the AI that's smarter than a human and can program itself to do things.
oh, geez.
And my concern is that AI may program itself to, I don't know, create biological weapons, right?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
there are so many fear factors coming down the line. And,
Yeah.
and we have so many different companies, so many different countries with different agendas that goes way beyond just, oh, telemarketing jobs are not going to be here within the next 5 years. Proofreaders
Correct.
are not going to be here. Receptionists, we don't need those jobs either. Market
Right.
research analysts. I mean, there are certain things that you can do with AI. And since you referenced the newsletter, I did write about it not too long ago about how you could use AI in your life. I mean, like to analyze a legal document, to analyze your medical records, to write letters for you, advertising copy, tell it to review your Yelp page if you're a plumber, and how you can get better, how it might be better.
Yeah.
And there are jobs that are coming down the pike, like AI machine learning specialists, and actually a new title is ethical AI specialists, focused on the responsible use of AI technologies. AI healthcare technicians, right? And AI is furthering the cause to make a cure for cancer. So there are beneficial things with AI, but
Right.
but there are so many unknowns at this point.
And putting it into the wrong hands.
Exactly. That's
just-
what I'm afraid of, Lise.
That's the nervous. I'm a grandma, and I've got a kid, daughter-in-law, and I've got 3 granddaughters, and I'm worried about future for them and how much of their privacy is going to be not in their control. Not that it is right now, anyway, but
Yeah.
even more so.
Well, privacy, security, communications, the way that you were taught, the way that I was taught in school with actual, honest to goodness teachers, not robots. Right?
Yes.
And I use that word empathy a lot because we also don't know who's programming the AI and what their agenda is. And,
Right.
and what their political beliefs are, what their religious beliefs are. Like for example, over the Christmas holidays, the Charlie Brown special, right? Christmas special. And when Linus comes out on stage, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I couldn't remember which Bible verse that exactly was. So I went to ChatGPT and it gave me the Bible verse. And it said it was from, I think it was Mark. And then I went over to Google Bard and I said, what's the Bible verse? Because what I do is I might use, when I'm asking a question, I might use all 3 AIs, meaning like ChatGPT, Bard, and Perplexity, just to see if they all get the same answer. Because they're wrong a lot of the time. So I went over to Google Bard and I said, hey, what's the Bible verse in this Charlie Brown special? Do you know what it said back to me? Do you know what it said?
Good.
It said, it said something like, we do not get into controversial topics.
Oh, my gosh.
And I was like, it's a Bible verse in a child's special.
Oh.
And then I was like, and then I asked it again because I'm thinking, well, maybe it was me. I mean, how can religion, a Bible verse that's in obviously a very popular TV show, be controversial? What's going on with that? So I asked it again, gave me the same answer back in a convoluted way. So then I tried again about 3 days later, and it did give me the Bible verse. But
Wow.
it went through the whole step and rigmarole that it didn't want to get into any controversy with religion. So I don't know
how it was developed.
I don't know what the future will hold. But, with AI in our world now, we need to be able to talk about it, to say how we use it, to know what to be careful of, to know that it's not always 100% correct,
Right.
not to rely on it. Where AI is going like a rocket ship faster than the iPhone did in 2007 is that within 3 years, we're going to have AI that can do whatever it wants to do. And
Right.
just this past week, it was I don't know, some type of ruling came down with with OpenAI and Microsoft, that the government says, hey, we want to know when something bad happens with AI in your operations, as far as with generative AI. So I don't think that you and I are far apart on this. I don't have grandchildren. I don't have grandchildren. I mean, I've got a 20-year-old in law school. So I'm at a different spot, but I'm concerned about his future and I'm concerned about his children. What is going to happen? Are these movies that we've been talking about for so long? We've seen Minority Report, Terminator. Is it really going to happen? It's kind of leaning that way. It really is. I know it's not a happy picture to think about. It's going to be hard to sleep tonight. But that's what's going on, folks. Lisa, thank you for your call. Yeah, these are always big topics, big conversations now. Artificial intelligence and our future. All right, let's just switch gears just a little bit and let's talk about staying safe at the gas pump. I mean, here's the deal. It's one of the most convenient machines ever created, the automated gas pump. You don't have to go inside to pay. You just swipe, fill up your tank, and go. Now, here are some ways to keep safe. It's the credit card skimmer problem I need to tell you about. It's estimated that skimming costs financial institutions and consumers more than $1 billion every year. See, gas stations are some of the most popular locations for card skimmers because they can steal your credit, your debit card information with just a single swipe. So how do you keep yourself safe at the pump? Use your phone's wallet app at the pump. That's what you want to do. So on your iPhone, it's Apple Pay. On Android, it's Google Wallet. So this way, all you have to do is tap your phone on the reader to pay for the gas. It's so much easier than getting out a credit card, so much faster to pay, and no more worries about skimmers at the pump stealing from you. So just use Apple Pay or Google Wallet. And before we go back to all of your phone calls, let's talk about kids. Because chances are, if you have kids in the family, that they're playing Roblox or Fortnite. And so what you and them don't know is that there's this dark, scammy side that's getting more extensive and sinister. Get this, Roblox has over 70 million users every single day. Wow, Fortnite, 30 million. So in that huge crowd, of course, the scammers are going to go, wow, this is a great target. So in both games, players can use real cash to buy in-game goodies. And that means cool outfits, accessories, and that's what the kids really want, right? The scammers, they know this. So they sneak into the chats in Roblox and Fortnite saying, oh, we have some free game currency for you. Now, in return, they're going to want the kids' account details or trick them into downloading something shady. So now's the time to talk to your kids. Tell them to never give out personal information to anyone. Just set up a system where they have to ask before buying anything. And it's also a good idea to activate those parental controls. If you haven't done this already, do it now. Both Roblox and Fortnite, they have some pretty good ones baked in. Okay, every single day, Monday through Friday, we now have this new show called Kim Commando Today. It's about 30 minutes, and it starts at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. That's 1:30 p.m. on the East Coast, of course. And this past week, Andrew and I had the chance to sit down and speak to a hacker. Yes, a hacker. His name's Tommy DeVos, and he's gone to prison 3 times. Because, as he says, I wasn't doing anything that bad. Well, now he's on the other side. He's a white hat hacker. He's making about $2 million a year finding bugs for major corporations like Yahoo or IBM or some X or whoever it may be. So here, I want you to take a listen to our conversation. What was like the first hack that you did?
National Guard bases computer system from South Carolina in 1993.
What were you trying to do? What was the goal by hacking into the National Guard?
To see if I could do it.
Okay.
So back then, everybody was on dial-up modems and everything. And if you got a phone call or you needed to get off your computer, you disconnected from the internet. It wasn't always on the way things are now. So back then we would break into systems at universities, military bases, companies that had dedicated lines into their facility. So they had an always on internet connection before it was available for people's houses.
So how old were you then?
Ooh, 9 years old.
No.
Wow.
Yes.
That's insane.
That's how easy it was in the 90s, though. Back in the 90s, when the internet was still in its infancy, most things weren't designed to be secure. People didn't put security thought into building anything just because it was something extremely brand new. I mean, most people weren't thinking about the fact that somebody would want to break into it. Aside from the military, you would have thought theirs was a little bit better secure, but it wasn't.
What was like the next big thing that you did? I mean, like where we would sit back and like you did it and you're like going like, dang.
The state government, I had this little period in 2000, I think it was, where I set like my own challenge to break into the state government of every single state in the U.S., at least one of their systems. And I started out, I'm from Virginia, so I started first by breaking into the Virginia Department of Informational Technology and defaced our website. And then we started breaking into the websites. We just went down the list of each state. And once we got into it and we changed it and move on to the next state.
So tell us about some of the bugs that you have found. I mean, and I saw a number, $2 million.
Yeah, that's on one platform alone. I've made over $2 million on the HackerOne platform, and Yahoo, they represent about $1.9 million of that for a couple of years. So I've been hacking Yahoo since the mid 90s. I used to spend a lot of time in games on Yahoo and in Yahoo chat. And as a result, I used to hack their systems to get an advantage in the games or to get accounts and things like that.
What is the most common mistake that people make that allows people like you to get into their systems? Is it not patching the systems?
It's not staying updated with patches. It's what are called 0 days. That's a vulnerability that the developers of the software don't know about. And it's been 0 days that they've known to make a patch for it. And the 0 days aren't used to hack like the vast majority of people. You have nation states that use 0 days to break into cell phones and everything, but those types of vulnerabilities are so valuable and expensive, they're not going to burn them unless they really want access to somebody. But for the general users, it's because they didn't update their browser or they didn't update Windows, since that's what most people use. And that in and of itself is a problem for a lot of times. And password reuse. I know it's annoying, but people need to get into the habit of using different passwords on different sites and rotating their passwords. Like, I don't agree that you should change your password every 90 days. I feel like that's just asking for you to remember too much, or to end up just making them weaker because you're just going to start adding a 1 or an exclamation or something like that to the end of it every time it forces you to change it. But subscribing to a website like Have I Been Pwned from Troy Hunt and monitoring for when your email address gets leaked is also something that can be super beneficial, because then you'll know when it comes to most emails, you can use aliases. So if you're going to go sign up for Disney Plus, you can use like Kim plus Disney Plus at kimcommando.com. And that way, if that email pops up in a data breach, you know exactly what site it came from. And then if you have only one password for that specific service, you only have to go change one service and not 15 different services. Because the problem is, if I use the same password for all of them, now if any of those websites get hacked, they get it, and then these attackers, they're not going to stop from hacking that one. They're going to get all of your information. Then they're going to go try it on every other major platform they can think of to see if maybe you use that same information there. And their end goal is to get somewhere that has access to your bank accounts or credit cards, so that they can defraud you.
Have you ever been approached by a company that says, hey, we need you to find our vulnerabilities, and you're like, nope, sorry, there's nothing. You're perfectly secure. You're locked down.
There's no such thing as perfectly secured. It's just the NSA and the Israeli Mossad proved that with the vulnerability that they snuck into the Iranian nuclear facilities back in 2008, 2009. But there's just no such thing as 100% secure. It's just because it's secure this moment doesn't mean it's going to be in 5 minutes or 5 hours or 5 days. Because just because the vulnerability hasn't been found, it's going to eventually be found.
This guy is so fascinating. Now, to hear the entire conversation, you can go ahead and get the podcast, Kim Commando Today, in your favorite podcast player, or wherever you are streaming your videos, you can just search for Kim Commando Today. You can watch the entire interview. Really, really fascinating stuff. All right, if you think your iPhone's dead, think again. Here are 3 things you can do with a dead iPhone. First up, you can make a transaction. If you've got Apple Pay set up on your iPhone, you can still make purchases even if the phone's not on. Just hold your phone near the card reader and boom, you're just good to go. Next on the list, emergency services. Did you know that in the United States, all mobile phones are required by law to be able to make an emergency call even if they're not activated and they don't have a SIM card? And lastly, Apple Find My. If other Apple devices are nearby, the Find My app can pinpoint the location of your lost iPhone. How sweet is that? All righty then. Let's see who we can start with. Randy in Eugene, Oregon.
Well, for one thing, I've been trying to think how long I've been listening to you, and if I remember right, I've been listening to you before you had your son Ian.
Ian, no, who's going to call their kid Ion? Come on.
Well, I was close.
Well, you know what happened is that when you look at Ian, IAN, is that when I had him, and even today, people drop me a note, I can't believe that you named your kid LAN for local area network. I'm like, would I torture a child like that for the rest of their life? What's your name? Local area network.
So is he around 20
yep,
now?
He's about 20, yes. Yeah, so a long time.
I've been listening to you for a long time, too. Well, the reason I called today was about a YouTube question.
Okay.
I have a YouTube video up, and it's got, last I looked at it, 782,000 hits or likes. And a friend of mine said that I could be making money off that. I'm going, whoa. So can you do any insight on that?
Did you send me an email about this?
Yeah, the flying deer.
I saw it.
And another thing, did you hear the dash cam go off?
Yes.
I believe I got that from your store also years ago.
And you don't even give me a plug in the video? Nothing? Why did we even take his call? Why is he even on my ear? Why is he? All right. Well, here's the bad news. You can't make any money for any of the views that you've had already.
Oh, okay.
Because when you upload the video is that you have to make sure that you check certain boxes that you want to monetize the video. Monetize, okay. So you're going to have to get in there and putz around in the settings and make sure that you can make money, monetize the video. So how much money can you make? And so here's the deal, is that it's done on a cost per thousand, what's called a CPM. And so what that means is that for every 1,000 people, or 1,000 views rather, for every 1,000 views, is that you can make anywhere between $1 to $3.
Okay.
So you could have been making that money, and you could have gone to Bora Bora, and you could have had a great time. But you didn't call me sooner, Randy.
Yeah, I know it. I mean, I just looked at it again, 782,000. I'm going, shoot, that could have been a little bit of chunk of change.
Yeah, that could be. So get inside your settings, and let's see if we can make sure that it's now, you're going to monetize that. If you need help on the exact steps, I'll be happy to point you in a direction, Randy. I don't know. The video was a little disturbing to me. I mean, I will tell you that. Because did you hit a deer? Is that what happened?
Yeah, the car in front of me hit it first and in turn flipped it in my lane, and then I finished it off. And I'm just glad I wasn't like a second or so faster. It would have came through the windshield of my truck. Wow. Yeah. And it did about $7,000 damage to my driving a big rig.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, that was because it's like, and because it goes so fast, it was like, I don't know if I quite saw that there was a car in front of me. I just saw it. And it was like, wow, dang.
No, it's coming the other direction.
Wow, that was really something. Well, good luck that, good for you that it didn't happen, that where it went through your windshield. Ooh. Wow, what a nightmare. So, Randy, if you need any help, I'm here for you. It's a pretty disturbing video, I will tell you, folks. I don't know if I would encourage you to watch it. All right, Patrick in Chicago, Illinois. Glad to have you with us.
Well, I'm an old-timer. I remember back in the day when I was in college, we used to use IBM punch cards when we were dealing with computers. And outside the science lab were the teletype computer terminals rather than with the CRTs or the flat screens They actually typed out. You typed and received the information by typewriter.
Ooh.
I'm calling about password managers. I have one. I use one that came with a suite of antivirus software from a vendor, and I'm just curious as to how they work and how secure they are. And after I contacted your station, your show, I read your article about the passkeys, and I'm not sure about those, how those work. If you could enlighten me, I'd appreciate it.
All right, so, we're all tired of passwords, right? I mean, oh my gosh, 12 characters, 16 characters, upper, lower case, hieroglyphics, gang sign, whatever you want to throw in there, right? And then you need a different password for each and every one of your accounts. And go ahead, try to remember them, which actually I remember mine, which is, I know it's a little nutso. But password managers, the whole idea is that you're going to have all your passwords inside of an encrypted vault, okay? And then there's a master password on the top of that. So when you know just the master password, suddenly it's like, the unicorns and ponies and flowers come out wherever you are on the web, and that will automatically fill in your password, okay? So the big question is, are they safe? Yeah, they're safe. The data is encrypted. Have they been hacked? Yeah, they've been hacked. Some LastPass, they seem to be having a lot of issues lately. But coming soon is what you called passkeys. Passkeys are in use on Apple, and now Google is just rolling them out. If you're on WhatsApp, they're also rolling out passkeys. Amazon's rolling out passkeys. And the whole idea is that, Patrick Wynn, you need to get that two-factor authentication code in order for you to sign into your account or to change your password, whatever it is that no longer is it going to come via text message on your phone, because guess what? Hackers know how to get that, is that it's going to be a biometric. So it's going to be your face ID or it's going to be your fingerprint. And all you have to do is just go to g.co/passkeys in order to set that up on your Google account, and then Amazon, it's in your login under your settings. And then we've got the steps on how to do that all across the board over on the website. So as passkeys roll out, the whole idea is that our biometrics is going to be our own password, because like I mentioned with the two-factor authentication, is that if somebody clones your phone, right? Then you sign into your bank and they say, oh, this is a foreign location. We don't know where you are, but you need to have this 8-digit code in order to sign in. Whoever has cloned your phone, they have that 8-digit code to sign in. Then once they have that, they're in your account, and then they wipe out all your money. So with passkeys, it'll get rid of that, it'll get rid of passwords, and hopefully along the line. But if you're looking for a password manager, I mean, certainly there's KeyPass. Google has their own passwords. RoboForm is a sponsor of the show. So if you go to roboform.com/Kim, you're going to save 50%. But again, these passkeys are the new wave of the future. Thank goodness, because this way we can use our biometrics, and that'll be ultra safe. Hey, Patrick, thank you so much for your call today. So how many subscriptions do you really have? If you think it's just Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Hulu, think again. There's more. There's a lot more. You are underestimating. A report from the Wall Street Journal found that Americans spend billions of dollars on stuff that we just forget about. According to a poll, when asked how much money we spend on subscriptions, most of us say $63 a month, when in reality, it's more like $270 a month. That's a big spread. So how do you figure out what you're really subscribing to? Well, number one, start with your email. Search for words like subscription, renewal, monthly charge, bill. This will help spot the forgotten ones. Also check your bank statements for any recurring payments. If some names are unclear, you can just Google them. Don't forget your credit card statements as well. You want to look there too. Now, there are apps like Rocket Money that will monitor your subscriptions. They show all your recurring charges in one place, and then they will help you try to get rid of them. Now, a lot of people freak out about Rocket Money because they do want to have direct ties into all your accounts. If that's a concern of yours, your privacy concern, just don't use it. Otherwise, you're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, right? Just do it by hand. Hey, don't forget to enter and win that $1,000 computer over at commando.com/win. If you own a home, listen up. This is scary. The FBI is warning about a crime on the rise. home title theft. And it doesn't happen the way you might think. No break-ins, no stolen keys, just a forged signature on a single piece of paper filed with the county. In minutes, criminals can transfer the title out of your name, then use your ownership to drain your equity or even sell your home. The worst part, most people don't know what's happening until they get collection or foreclosure notices in the mail. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. When you visit HometitleLock.com/Kim, you'll get a free title history report and a 14-day free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection, including 24/7 monitoring of your home's title, urgent alerts to changes, and if fraud does happen. Their U.S.-based restoration team will work to restore your title, covering costs up to $1 million. Don't wait. Protect your home and equity today. Get your free 14-day trial at HometitleLock.com/Kim. That's HometitleLock.com/Kim.
Thanks for listening to The Kim Komando Show. Here's Hour 2.
Gosh, I don't know where these TikTok challenges come from. The newest one, women are testing men with what's called the ketchup challenge. Yeah, women pour a bunch of ketchup on the kitchen counter, and then they watch how their man cleans up the entire mess. And they want to see their cleaning techniques. Does he clean it swiftly? Does he just smudge the ketchup all around the table? One guy tried to pick it up with his hands. Definitely not a keeper there. Hey, speaking of, I dropped a huge bottle of ketchup on my foot yesterday. Yeah, it caused severe pain. Tomatoes, get it? Tomatoes. Oh, I know. That's really bad. Hey, listen, I'm Kim Komando, America's digital goddess. You just tapped into the biggest show, the best show, the most trusted show about all things digital. And you're about ready to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing. And if you're just tuning in for the first time, a warm welcome to you. We're delighted to have you join us. And to our regulars, it's just super duper to have you back. Now, you can find my award-winning show across 420 fantastic radio stations here in the United States. And if you want to listen on your own time, not a problem. Wherever you get your podcast, just search for Kim Komando Show. That's once again, Kim Komando Show. And you can also tap into us as a webcast, as a podcast over inside the Komando community. And that's 100% commercial free. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, my show is just always a click away. And a special shout out goes to all of our listeners on the American Forces Network Radio, serving more than 375,000 American servicemen and women in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, and the Space Force in 175 different countries. And I'm sure you have at least a few questions about something in your digital life that I can lend a hand to. And that's why our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254. And I need two things from each and every one of you. Number one, the best way for us to continue to grow this show is for you to tell just one friend. That's all. Just tell one friend, I love the Kim Komando Show. And second on the list is to tell me what you like, what you want to hear more about. And of course, you can always drop me a note on our website. There's a link that says email Kim@komando.com. Alrighty then, it's my labor of love every single day. I go to at least 35, sometimes 40 different websites to make sure that we're both up to date. And here are the top 5 things that you need to know about tech right now. And let's start with deep-faked pornographic pictures of Taylor Swift. Yeah, they were posted on Elon Musk's X this past week, and they quickly spread across the entire platform. One post hit 47 million views. So what should they do? How could they stop the flood of these disgusting, alarming deep fakes? Well, Elon Musk made the call: temporarily stop all searches for X about Taylor Swift. So for about a week, it was impossible to search for anything on the platform that had anything to do with Taylor Swift. And those posts of her deepfake porn, they were immediately taken down. But Musk didn't stop there. He also announced a new content moderation center in Austin, Texas. They're hiring about 100 folks, and they are going to specifically tackle these kinds of exploitive issues with a keen eye on anything that's targeting kids. So hold up just a second. Haven't we been told for all these years that this type of control is just not possible on social media? What? Yeah, okay. But Musk somehow figured it out. Next on our list, Elon Musk's Neuralink. It has implanted its first chip inside a human, and it's now detecting signals. Here's how it works. It inserts these ultra-thin wires into the brain to pick up electrical signals, which are then translated by a chip about the size of a quarter inside the skull into a format that computers can understand. It's essentially creating this direct line of communication between your brain and a computer. So it's definitely going to help people with seizures, spinal cord injuries, walk again, really great stuff. And Musk has, though, bigger plans. He was quoted saying that with Neuralink, you could probably have a save state inside the brain. Yes, a save state. Here's what this means. If you were to die, your body dies, your brain could be implanted in maybe another body or inside a robotic body. And so that this way you could continue to live on, kind of like a video game where you could reload your last save. You might lose a few memories, but it would still be essentially you. Isn't that something? All right, moving on to number 3. It only takes a few seconds for someone to replicate your voice. ByteDance, creators of TikTok, they've created this powerful new software that will allow anyone to instantly change their voice into another person's using AI technology. So now this is in Chinese, but I want you to take a listen. The first one is the fake voice. Okay, now listen to the second voice. Okay, that's the real voice. Wow. Okay. This magical AI voice recreation happens as fast as live streaming with an incredible delay of just 124 milliseconds, barely a tenth of a second. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine all the nightmares are going to happen now because suddenly anybody who has TikTok is going to be able to transform just a few spoken words into an almost instant voice clone? Better watch out, folks. Number 4, there's a new job out there, a robot babysitter. You know, we've all seen the headlines. Robots are taking over the world. They're not going to need us. Humans are yesterday's news. The reality is we're just not there quite yet. I mean, remember the incident in a Tesla factory where the engineer was attacked by a robot, pinned him down, clawed him. And then there was another robot who punctured bear repellent, spraying 20 workers. That's where a new job title comes in. I'm not making this up. It's called a robot wrangler. This is not a joke. They step in when a robot veers off course or fumbles the task. So whether it's robots zipping around too quickly, taking a tumble, causing chaos, going after humans, the robot wranglers are on hand to guide them back on the right path. So if you're looking for a new job, maybe it could be a robot wrangler. And finally, this coming in at number 5. This is a very, very horrific story, but I wanted to pass it along. It's about a 61-year-old man, a guy by the name of Harvey Murphy. Now, he's suing Sunglasses Hut and Macy's for a crime that he did not commit. Okay, he was arrested and charged for armed robbery at a Sunglasses Hut store in Houston, Texas. Allegedly, he stole thousands in cash and merchandise from the store. But he didn't commit the crime. So why was he arrested? Okay. Facial recognition software and footage used in the store. Okay. It was totally wrong. It wasn't him. Now, although he's from Texas, Harvey was actually living in California when the Sunglasses Hut was robbed. He moved back to Texas, and when he went to renew his driver's license photo, a police officer said there was a warrant for his arrest for robbery. He was taken to jail. He was held there for 10 days, and while he was there, I don't know how to say this, but other than to say it, that he was sexually assaulted, if you get my drift. And then he had to stay in the same cell with his rapist until he was released. Now, they say that this low-quality camera footage was used in order to issue that warrant for his arrest. But he was not in Texas. He was in California, and he proved it. So now he's suing everybody, and he should. And I hope he takes them all to the cleaners. The other day, we had a great chat with Brian Johnson. He's not just any tech millionaire. After selling his payment processing company called Braintree to eBay for $400 million, Brian was reaching for a brownie night after night and said, "What the heck am I doing?" So he went on a personal mission to reverse his biological age. His groundbreaking project involves a team of over 30 doctors, and they're using cutting-edge technology and science to turn back the clock on aging. Now, imagine if you could actually do that. He is treating his whole body as a tech experiment. So here, take a listen. So let's start at the beginning, Brian. What made you embark upon this, as you say, a rejuvenation athlete, taking your life in this direction?
It was a result of some thought experiments I did. And I like thought experiments because they help me, they show a mirror of what the most common thoughts are of one's time and place and allows you to travel in time. Okay, so here's the first thought experiment. Imagine that you're able to whisper in the ears of people who live in the year 1870. And you say to them, hey, just a heads up, there are these new ideas about these microscopic objects that are the source of infection. They're called germs. And if doctors wash their hands between surgeries, if they clean their instruments, if they wash their hands again before, between delivering babies, that may reduce the death rate dramatically in this situation. Now, if you're in the 1870s, if your common response is going to be, that's nuts. You're telling me some invisible thing is causing death, and we can't see it. So it's just like this. Is this like some sort of otherworldly thing? And so this is an example where the future is always present, and it smashes itself up against the rocks of our current thinking. And that's what Blueprint is. Blueprint is from the future, and it smashes up against the current norms. And so the kinds of things you guys were observing ahead of time is exactly the predicted response.
Well, it's an interesting analogy, because I thoroughly believe that, think about, I still can't believe that people would say that when you smoked a cigarette, it would coat your throat, right?
8 out of 10 doctors agree. Go with filtered cigarettes.
Yes. And then, of course, we all know what happened after that. So, I've been following you for quite a while, and I was actually kind of like super excited when Maddie came in and said, oh my gosh, I got Brian, because it really makes total sense that if you take care of your body, because your body is a machine, okay, and know that if we can make this machine last longer by taking care of it and giving it certain nutrients in certain ways, then maybe we can prevent heart disease. Maybe we can prevent diabetes or other ailments. Maybe we won't need to put the whole world on Ozempic, although, the whole jingle thing always gets me excited every time I Ozempic, And so, so take us through your typical day, Brian.
Yeah. So I'll just to complete this thought experiment and what you said, and then I'll go through my day. So to complete that exercise, if we imagine that the 25th century is whispering in our ears and they say, psst, what would they tell us? And this is the entirety of my project. I think they would say, don't die. That after 4.5 billion years on this planet, we are now baby steps away from superintelligence. Now, when we have superintelligence in a decade or so, it's going to be 1 billion times smarter than us, a level of intelligence that is unimaginable to us. It's possible that with the superintelligence, we will be able to solve aging, and we may be able to live for a duration of time and with the level of wellness that is, again, unimaginable to us. And so the observation is, in the year 2024, the future is present. The question is, can we see it? And so in conjunction with Blueprint, I say, don't die individually, don't kill each other, don't kill the planet, and align AI with don't die. It is the only thing on humanity's to-do list.
Wow.
I don't know if we're going to be able to check that box. But like Kim said, what are you doing on a daily basis so you don't die?
Yeah, what I did is, I do about 100 things in a given day, and I try to make them invisible to me because I try to make it just part of my norms. And so the unique thing we did is we looked at every single scientific publication ever done on health span, lifespan. We then graded the evidence of each of those things, and then we did the power laws. And we said, where is the best evidence for the best health span, lifespan extension? And then we implemented every single one of those things. Well, not everyone. We implemented the power laws in me. And then I became the most biologically measured person in human history. And so my daily regimen is basically the most scientifically accurate approach on how to go about longevity and health span. And so, for example, I go to bed about 8:30 every night. Well, that's not true. I go to bed at exactly 8:30 every night, and it's very precise. And sleep is my number one life priority. I demonstrated 8 months of perfect sleep using a wearable. It was the first time, I think, in human history where someone demonstrated that level of sleep consistency. And I wanted to show that it could be done. And then I wake up around 4:35, 5:30. I wake up naturally. And then I'll do a 10,000 lux light in my eyes to get a few minutes of light. I'll weigh myself on my scale to get body composition data. I'll take my inner ear temperature. I measure that very closely. My body temp in the morning is around 94.9, 95.1. So I'm about 3 degrees Fahrenheit lower than what I was before doing Blueprint. And then I'll go downstairs. I'll do some HRV therapy, which is like your nervous system therapy. I do this little thing on my ear that has electrical current. And then I'll work out for an hour, and then I'll eat a few pounds of vegetables for breakfast. I'll do a few more therapies. I'll work for a couple hours. I have a few doctor's appointments, and in the afternoon where I'll do various measurements. And then I have a nighttime protocol. And so basically I have like 2 or 3 full-time jobs. I'm building various companies and I'm doing this. So it's a lot of work, and I have an entire team helping me do this. But the thing is, I guess it's important to say is you don't need to spend $2 million and you don't need to do my lifestyle. I can give you 5 simple rules that are low cost that you can do to get the majority of the benefits. But you definitely do not need to be Brian Johnson to achieve these benefits. You can do them in a low cost fashion.
Isn't this just fascinating? Oh my gosh, I had such a thrill talking to Brian. All right, now coming up, Brian's going to share with us 5 things that we can all do to live longer. We're also going to talk about why he decided to be the guinea pig for this project that he calls Blueprint, and how he sticks to this lifestyle. And by the way, if you want to watch the entire interview, or if you want to get it as a podcast in your favorite podcast player, this is the brand new and improved Kim Komando Today. We do it live every day, Monday through Friday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. Okay, everybody do the math. That's 1:30 p.m. on the East Coast. And it's just a heck of a lot of fun. It's about 30, 35 minutes, sometimes a little bit longer, depending upon how we're doing. But again, wherever you get your podcast, just search for Kim Komando Today. Once again, that's Kim Komando Today. So we have more of this interview coming up with Brian Johnson, just a fascinating guy. And if you want to see what he looks like, again, you have to look at the video. We sat down with Brian Johnson. Now, let me tell you, he's just not any ordinary tech millionaire. After selling his payment processing company, it was called Braintree, to eBay for $400 million, Brian's sitting there and he's like, okay, what am I doing? Night after night, he's reaching for cookies and brownies, and he's all stressed out trying to raise 2 kids. And of course, he's got a marriage going on. And then he decided, I need to do something about this. I need to take care of my body, my mind, my spirit. And I'm going to try to figure out how can I be my best biological self. Now, because he's a geek of the week, he approached this as any type of tech project. So he's spending about $2 million a year with 30 doctors using cutting edge technology to try to reverse his biological age. Here's more of this interview.
So what are those 5 things?
There's 5 power laws. 1 is don't smoke. Number 2 is 6 hours a week of exercise. But even if you can't do 6 hours, even 1 hour, if you're at 0, is great. 3 is eat a Blueprint-like diet, or you can say a Mediterranean-like diet. 4 is maintain a body mass index of between 18.5 and 22.5. And then number 5 is moderate alcohol consumption, or 0. Those 5 things will get you to a life expectancy of around 92 years old. And then, of course, it also is helpful if you can try to avoid bad things. So try to avoid, junk food. Try to avoid other things that would otherwise cause damage to your body. But the basics really are within reach of everyone. And then, as I mentioned before, making sleep your number 1 life priority. Like literally nothing's more important than sleep, because everything else is a consequence of your sleep.
So when Ford rolls out a new truck, they don't take the CEO and the president and use them as the crash test dummy. Why did you decide to make yourself the guinea pig for Blueprint?
As a species, we have these really important questions in front of us. Will Earth be inhabitable for the human race? Will AI cause some kind of catastrophe? Will we humans annihilate each other? Now, if you take any one of those problems, you say, what could I possibly do to change that outcome? I wanted to actually be the problem. I want it to be climate change. I want it to be AI alignment. I want it to be human destruction. And I want it to solve all the existential crises as an individual. And so what I did is I said, okay, I'm going to change the structure of how I am as a human. Instead of my mind deciding whenever it wants to eat whatever it wants, I'm going to empower my body's organs to be in charge. This is just like what happened in democracy, where the 13 colonies in the US said, we have this monarch in the UK who does a pretty good job of managing things. And then people in the States were like, they're kind of bad. They suck at doing things. They don't understand our needs. They prioritize their own needs. And so they formed this democracy. And they basically said, we're going to restructure how power is manifesting itself. I did the same thing. I empowered my organs to manage me. And I built an algorithm that takes better care of me than I can myself. And so my mind no longer decided what it wants to do. My body's organs and an algorithm does it. And this is the observation that we've reached this point in technological progress where this is now possible. And I want it to be patient zero to demonstrate there is a evolution from Homo sapiens to Homo evolutus. And this is it. This is the first step.
So you talk about, basically diet, exercise, sleep. Okay. And, the Mediterranean diet, which everybody talks about. How did you achieve that 8 months of just perfect sleep? Because, for example, like last night I woke up at 4 a.m., and then I went back to sleep. And
I got you beat. I woke up at 2.
Okay. All right. There we go. And so how do you do that?
Yeah, here's a few simple rules that you can follow. One is I eat earlier in the day. I tried a few hundred different experiments on foods and time of eating. I found that I eat my last meal of the day at 11 a.m. And if I do that, when I put my head on the pillow, my resting heart rate is around 46 to 49 beats per minute. And I am almost guaranteed a perfect night's sleep. So eating earlier was very helpful for me. So just consider, you may want to try it out. You may find that you sleep better when you eat earlier. Number two is I found that the foods I eat dramatically affect how I sleep. And so my diet currently is vegetables, berries, nuts, seeds. I don't eat pastas. I don't eat breads. And so it really helped. And then number three is a wind down routine before bed really helps. So I typically allocate between 10 and 60 minutes for a wind down time. But it's really important to stop the day because at the end of the day, you're ruminating on all the problems you have, all the people you're mad at, like all the injustice you've suffered, like all the concerns you have about family and friends, like all the emotions we have as a human, and you're ruminating. And if your head hits a pillow with those thoughts top of mind, you'll be in a light sleep all night, ruminating on that thing, whatever it is that you're aroused about. And so it's really important. I try to say, all right, nighttime, Brian, you're in charge. And so I put a version of me in charge where if a thought comes in, I'm sorry, I appreciate the consideration, but we're not currently in problem solving mode. We're in sleep mode. But then I said, finally, I say no alcohol. Alcohol wrecks my sleep. It doesn't matter when I drink it. It does a really terrible thing. And then I guess the final thing, if your circumstances allow you to sleep in a separate bed, because it really is very challenging to coordinate with another person on their movements, their preferences, all the things. Yeah, but I guess the point is you can make really big inroads to improve your sleep quality. And when you start knocking out high quality sleep, you're going to feel very differently about life.
Well, you know what? When you do have a good night's sleep, the next day you're like, yes, I can take on in whatever you want to throw my way. Now, yes. Let's talk about food and nutrition. And I noticed, for example, on your website, there's this super duper olive oil. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, my team and I tried to create the perfect diet. And so it's important to mention that I've spent millions of dollars on this protocol. I've made the entire thing free for everyone. All the recipes are free. All the supplements I take, I tell everyone exactly what I'm doing. Anybody can do it. And so to implement what I've done is about $1,000 to $1,500 a month in the US. So that includes your groceries. So it's not expensive. It really is just a decision that you're going to choose a healthy lifestyle. And so, yeah, I'm vegan by choice, not by necessity. Blueprint says nothing about meat. We really try to follow the evidence for what's working in me. But the whole meat versus vegan thing is just a religious war. I just don't want to be in that battle. We're really trying to do something large scale. So yeah, yeah, all the recipes are there, and it's easy for anyone to understand and implement.
Now, I know you're enjoying this interview as much as I did putting it all together. So coming up, we're going to talk to Brian about how old is his body? I mean, he's tracking the age, not just of his entire physical body, like how old is his heart? How old is his spine? How old are his hips? Also, he spends a lot of time in the tabloids. It seems like they like to talk about his sexual health and his sexual age. And then we're also going to talk about some techniques that we can do to stay as young as possible and to treat our body the right way. Of course, there's always diet, exercise, and sleep. Now, Brian Johnson, who we've been talking to this entire show, is just a fascinating guy. And in case you want to see what he really looks like, okay, I know it's hard to do on just audio only. Well, that's where you want to tap into the video archives, because again, every day we're going live, but if you can't catch it live, we totally get that. So whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, wherever you're getting your video fixes, is that search for Kim Komando today. And that's where you can take a look at our podcast, as well as if you want to see, again, what Brian Johnson looks like. I don't know if he looks 18. I'm kind of guessing he looks like he's in his mid-30s, but people here in the studios are like, no, Kim, he totally looks 18. But in case you want to know what he looks like, that's where you can do that. Now, if you want to get just the audio version of the entire interview with Brian, and of course, of Kim Komando Today, wherever you get your podcasts, just search for Kim Komando Today. So here's the rest of Brian's interview. So you're 46. How old is your body?
I'm a few hundred different ages. So, for example, my heart is currently age 37. You can age the heart, not just on a chronological age, but you can look at the functional characteristics and the anatomical characteristics. You know, like a baby's heart is different than a 90-year-old heart. It looks different. It functions different. It has different molecular construction. So we basically have measured my body in hundreds of markers. And so my left ear is 64 because I had hearing damage loss from shooting guns as a kid. My heart's 37. My diaphragm capacity is age 18. My cardiovascular ability is in the top 1.5% of 18-year-olds. My bone mineral density is the top 0.02 percentile of 30-year-olds, which is the age minimum for the test. So yeah, I'm a whole bunch of different ages through all the things we've done.
So do you celebrate all of those birthdays every single year?
That's a good question.
That's a lot of presents.
I'll take it.
Yeah, that would be good.
So this is a serious question. It may seem childish, but it's serious. In researching for this interview, multiple times in multiple different sources, it talked about that you want to make sure that you don't age your penis and your rectum. And it focused on that. Is that something that you put out there? Is that something that's important for all of us? Why would all these articles focus on those two parts?
Yeah, I mean, old rectums get cancer.
Okay. So that's why you're focusing on the rectum.
Yeah. And the penis is, it's sexual health is a bit of a taboo topic in polite society. And I am trying to raise awareness that our sexual health is really important to our psychology. It's representative of our sleep habits. It's representative of our diet. It basically, if you're not performing well sexually, you have other problems in other places of your life. And so it's a conversation that is needed. It's helpful. I mean, I've had so many of my friends approach me in private and say, I'm in a bad spot and I'm not quite sure how to crawl back out. But when you don't have sexual function, either desire or function, it's pretty devastating psychologically. And so I've really tried to just say, look, I'm playing around, I'm having fun. I'm more than willing to bring up topics that are controversial, that are awkward, that, make people feel, like blush a little bit, but they're really important to all of us. There's few people who don't want a, productive, healthy sexual life.
You're telling me? I'll take the penis tips off air. Kim doesn't need to hear them.
Well, you know why? Well, it's just, I can pass them along. I mean, but I'll tell you, it's the science behind all this, Brian, that gets me. It is because if you look at your Instagram account, like for example, and just speaking of, tracking penis health and all that other stuff, is that, you actually have your stats right there.
Yeah, I am the most measured human in history. And so this is what I say, kind of tongue in cheek, is Blueprint is the best whole health protocol built in history prove me wrong with your data. So this is not some fad thing. I'm not speaking about story. This is rigorous science. It's quantified measurement. It's in me. And of course, a lot of critics will say, well, it's only you, Brian, so therefore it's irrelevant. But thousands of people are doing Blueprint. They've had stunning results. So this is a real thing. This is not going to go away. This is how humans figure out how to solve complicated problems. You approach it in a methodical way, and you go from one step to another using science and data.
So how do you come up with some of the techniques? Like, I read that there was a bone marrow transplant from, I guess, a young person in Sweden, and then you had that done in the Bahamas. Where does that, how does that even come into play?
Well, what we did that was unique is we combed through all of the scientific literature on health span, lifespan, and then we sorted that according to power laws. And so stem cells are one of the most powerful ways to address disease and deterioration. And specifically mesenchymal stem cells, and specifically from young bone marrow. And so we spent 2 years trying to evaluate these therapies. We found one company in Sweden, Cellco Labs, which had basically produced these cells at a clinical grade. So it was high quality, it was rigorous, it wasn't some fly-by-the-night situation, over the border from the US. And so it passed all of our safety criteria of being of certain quality. And then I did a intravenous infusion of 100 million. On March 25th, I'm going to now inject more mesenchymal stem cells into my joints. I'm going to do the world's first whole body joint rejuvenation protocol. So that will be hips, elbows, wrists, ankles, elbows, all my joints. And we'll treat them each with mesenchymal stem cells. And so we're trying to basically say, can we get my joints back to age 18? That's a pretty ambitious goal. It's probably not reachable in this point in time, but we're curious to pose the question, why not? And so we're taking one of the best and most powerful therapies in the world, mesenchymal stem cells, young Swedish bone marrow, and then apply them to joints and then also whole body. So we do this consistently. Like, I did my first longevity gene therapy, and gene therapy is a thing that's going to punch through the ceiling on our lifespan. So yeah, we really are, we're trying to demonstrate that don't die is real. It's a believable thing. And back in the 1870s, you would listen to say, are there in fact microscopic objects? And the question for each one of us is this legitimately the case that we are on the cusp of the most magnificent opportunity in the history of the galaxy? And it's us who exist right now. So therefore, our objective, don't die.
Again, just a reminder, if you want to watch the entire interview or get it as a podcast in your favorite podcast player, just search for Kim Komando today. Okay, in real life, the pricier the neighborhood, the more expensive the grocery store. And guess what? Websites, they work pretty much the same way. Only 1 in 3 Americans know this. So depending on where you live, you could get the short end of the stick with deals. There are ways to get around this. Number 1, get a VPN and change your virtual location to one that you think probably gets lower prices on products. And then you want to buy through there, but you can go ahead and ship to your home address. I use ExpressVPN. Number 2, compare prices online. There are sites like PriceGrabber and Google Shopping. They take a look at costs of items all over the web. And number 3, track prices of the products that you want. Keepa is a powerful extension where you can keep tabs on price history charts. And of course, on Amazon, you can use the site Camel. Hey, do me a solid. Tell one person about the Kim Komando Show. You can always find me at komando.com.
Here's hour 3.
I always like to kick things off with something fun and super interesting. And let's talk about how much money you make a year. Okay, we all have our standard pay packages, all right? We have our salary, maybe some bonuses, health benefits, 401ks. It's all thanks for being an excellent employee. So who do you think has the biggest compensation plan ever? Okay, just think about it. Who in this world right now is probably making the most money a year from one company? Who do you think that is? Okay, I'll tell you who it is. It's Elon Musk. Okay, how much do you think he wants to make a year? Okay, anybody raise your hand. Does he want to make 10 million? Does he want to make 10 billion? Does he want to make 20 billion, 20 million? Let me tell you how much. You ready for this? I hope you're sitting down. $56 billion. Oh my gosh, $56 billion. I should have figured out what that works out to be every hour that he's working. It doesn't look like he's going to get it. Delaware judge said that pay package could be tossed out because it's just not fair to shareholders, Tesla shareholders. So Musk, wrote on X, as he always would, never incorporate your company in the state of Delaware. And he said, I pretty much work all the time. So now he's taking a vote because he wants to move his company to Texas, where he can make $56 billion a year. Wow, that's really something. On that happy note, you're about ready to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing. I'm, of course, Kim Commando, America's digital goddess, here with you. It's the biggest show. It's the best show. It's the most trusted show. And you can find my award-winning show on over 420 top radio stations throughout the United States. You can also get us as a podcast, as a webcast, commercial-free at commando.com. Just hit that button that says Commando Community. And wherever you get your podcast, you can also get the Kim Commando Show. Just search for Kim Commando Show. We got a lot of podcasts out there. Well, we've got 3. We have the Daily Tech Update, Kim Commando Today, and the Kim Commando Show. Just make sure you get the show. And a big hello goes out to all of our listeners in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, and the Space Force in 175 different countries who are joining us on the American Forces Network Radio, serving more than 375,000 American servicemen and women. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And I need 2 things from each and every one of you. Number 1, the best way for us to grow this show is for you to, just tell a friend. Tell one person about the Kim Commando Show. And number 2 is tell me what you like, what you want to hear more about. Just head over to commando.com and hit that button that says Email Kim. All right, you can count on me every single day to visit at least 35 different websites to make sure that we are both up to date on what's happening in the tech universe. And here are the top 5 things you need to know right now. We're going to start with, again, the Chinese hackers. U.S. officials have recently uncovered and put a stop to a cyber plot from China. They were trying to sneak malware into the systems that are the backbone of our daily lives. This is really frightening. Water, electricity, and how we get from point A to point B. The hackers used America's old tech to their advantage. Just before FBI Director Chris Wray briefed the White House lawmakers, it was revealed that a botnet had been disrupted. It consisted of hundreds of small office and home routers all across the United States. Talking about private citizens, you and me, companies owned, hijacked by Chinese hackers to lay the groundwork all throughout the country to take over our water systems, our electricity. Oh my gosh, this is just super frightening, isn't it? They went after old Cisco and Netgear routers, and they were vulnerable because they were past their end of life, meaning they were not getting any more security patches. So folks, if you have an older router and you're not getting any more updates for it, you need to just break down and buy a new one. Okay, and if you need help, we've got lots of recommendations over at commando.com. All right, moving on to number 2, OpenAI released a study that there's at most a small chance, this should make us all feel good, right? A small chance that ChatGPT-4 could create a bioweapon. Okay, that's supposed to make us feel really good that there's at most a small chance. Why should there be any chance? Okay, here's what they said, their exact quote. We found that ChatGPT-4 provinces have at most a minor uplift in a biological threat creation accuracy. Okay. Oh my gosh. And they think this is supposed to make us feel good. When the experts used ChatGPT-4, they got a 4% better at making their bioweapon than when they just used the internet. Okay. So ChatGPT-4 can now have a 9%, advantage to creating a bioweapon, which means it's only going to get smarter. I don't know about you, but that doesn't make me sleep well at night. Moving on to number 3, we're going to get down to earth. We're going to talk about car insurance. My car insurance just went up 32%. Yikes. Okay. Since 2020, car insurance rates all across the United States have risen on average by 37%. Why the change? High-tech cars and anything remotely new costs way more to repair because our cars are now packed with dozens and dozens of sensors, all kinds of computers, computer code. And what this means is that we have also LED lights. They cost 5 times more than halogen lights to replace. And new cars also contain more aluminum. And compared to steel, aluminum is lighter, so we get better gas mileage, offers more protection in a crash, but it's harder to fix and more expensive. So bottom line here is that if you're wondering why your car insurance went up, is that it's all because of the tech that's inside of our cars and also the EVs. Like, for example, the average EV cost to repair is about $6,600 versus a traditional car is about $4,400. Number 4, a funny thing happened to Netflix, and everybody's like going, hey, well, what about us? Netflix angered millions by cutting off friends and relatives who were using your account, not living with you, because they said, okay, you can't share your account anymore, somebody has to pay up. And that was their biggest quarter ever in revenues. They actually gained 13 million subscribers. So now all the other streaming platforms are saying, oh, look at this. We can make some more money too. And Mickey Mouse says, I need a lot more cash. So Disney's going to be banning password sharing on March 14th. Hulu and ESPN Plus, also owned by Disney, are going to be following suit. And finally, this coming in at number 5, celebrities are getting catfished too. Drew Barrymore and Sharon Stone came out this past week and said, hey, we're getting catfished on dating apps. I mean, who would have thought they were on dating apps to begin with? But Drew Barrymore said that on her show that she came across a dating profile on an app that she thought was the quarterback of the Los Angeles Rams, Matthew Stafford. She wrote him and said, oh my God, I went to the first practice game. It's so nice to meet you. My name is Drew. I love football. Okay. It's not really the first practice game. I don't know anything about football, but I even know it's like called the preseason game. Turns out she figured out that this was not the quarterback and that it was a struggling musician pretending to be Matt Stafford, who's married with 4 kids. She probably should have Googled him before she responded. Sharon Stone is on Tinder and a bunch of other apps, and she says she wants to find true love in 2024. But she's had some bad dates, and she's fallen to some catfish schemes, too. She got a date with one guy who she found out was a convicted felon. Probably should have checked that out first. And another guy who hid his heroin injections. Oh, gosh. I don't know about you, but if I saw Sharon Stone on Tinder, I'd be like, this has to be a total fake. But it wasn't. Wow. All right. How about we start with Laura in Houston, Texas. Hello there, Laura.
So I'm constantly updating, tweaking my estate and disaster plans, and also changing passwords endlessly. In doing so, I realized between my husband and I, we've just got dozens and dozens of sites. Really got on the idea of what happens when something happens. How do I, if the worst happens or one of us is incapacitated, how do we get access to this digital personas or legacies that we all have, and how do we protect that, and how do we, what do we do when something happens?
Boy, you guys must have some great dinner time conversations. All right, so here's the deal, Bob. If I go first, who gets the Netflix? I'm just wondering.
We almost do have those on occasion, so that's funny.
I used to joke with my mom because I was the executor of her estate, and she'd be like, okay, you need to come over because I'm updating my will. I'm like, do we have to do this every Friday? I mean, it's like, what is this? Reading of the will every Friday. And she's like, no, Kim, this is important stuff. And when after she did pass, I realized how important that is. You don't want to think about it, but let's just face it. It's going to happen to every one of us.
Well, sure.
It's a precarious situation because you want to maintain your privacy, right? But when you're gone, you want to make sure that the accounts are canceled. People have access to what they need to have access to. And maybe there are things that you don't want them to see, right? And there are things that they can see, shouldn't see, certain people should see, know about, and that's where it's like, who has the keys to that kingdom, right? And what is the exit strategy, so to speak? So, Netflix accounts, household accounts, that's where you said, like, we have our accounts. So, like, for example, I have an email account just for my house, okay? And so anything that happens within the house, whether it's a contractor, it's electric, it's internet, whatever it may be, streaming service, is that it goes to that house email account. I have my personal account email, I have my business account, and I'm sure you and your husband, you have it accordingly. So in your estate planning, that's where you can make sure that whoever is in charge of that estate, that they have the email addresses, because the email addresses are going to be important, especially when you want to change a password, say on a Fidelity account, or the phone number. You want to keep that phone number active. And I will tell you, that's a mistake a lot of people make, is that because your phone is tied to your accounts for two-factor authentication, is that you can't just put in there, don't cancel the phone the day after I die, Yeah. Because you're going to need that phone number to have access to my online accounts. And the same goes for any type of life insurance policy. I will tell you that if you just because this is my experience in going through this, is that my mom had a small life insurance policy from when she worked at AT&T, like one of those, like, when she worked, they gave it to her type of thing.
Yep.
And so maybe, I don't know, a week after she passed, that was when I notified the life insurance, AT&T life insurance, that she had passed away. Do you know they locked down every one of her accounts?
Wow.
And because the life insurance company was notified, that they in turn notified everybody else. Now they claim that they didn't do that, but I just thought it was too much of a quinky dinky that at 8 a.m. when I called about the life insurance, that by 10 a.m. I was locked out of her Bank of America. I was locked out of everything. And so, because of so much fraud.
Sure.
So, you also have your stuff that you buy on Apple Movies, right? Whatever it may be, Hulu, Paramount, and it's just, because now we have digital assets.
Yes.
And, if that account gets closed, all those movies are no longer available to anybody. And that's just the way that it works right now. I mean, you can set up legacy contacts on Facebook and on your social media so that somebody can take over that account. It becomes a memorial page. But there's not quite yet one service that will go through and say all this, that Laura's no longer among us. And so what are we going to do? Right? So it really requires you to go back in and just put in, maybe simplify your email addresses. Like I was talking about, like a house email address, your personal email address, things that are tied, and things that you guys share. Maybe have another email address. That's the way we have it set up. I've got a house address. We have a couple. My husband and I have one email address that we share, and simply because he's got tired of me saying the Apple account was tied to my Apple ID, and then he got his own Apple ID, and he's like, "Oh, which ID we're using?" Type of thing. I'm like, "All right, we're done. We're done with that." So, did I help you at all?
You certainly did. That's a really good advice. I'm going to work on that and be I just want to be proactive, and again, I'm not trying to simplify it too much, but gosh, it's how do you keep everything running? And I like the idea of the house email account, and I think there might be some kind of power of attorney or something in there somewhere if you need to get in there.
Yeah, that's true. Yes,
and access anything.
You're right. Yeah, there's going to be a power of attorney. I'm not good at legal advice.
No, I'm not either.
That's why I'm so glad I told him, because my son Ian's going to law school. I said, "You know what this means?" He's like, "What?" I said, "I have free legal advice the rest of my life." Okay, I'm just telling you. Okay, I'm paying for this sucker. This is what it is. And I never want to hear, "Mom, I'm too busy." Nope. Mm-mm. Well, Laura,
that's great. And, I just wanting to be proactive and
sure.
You hear so much out there. I'd rather do what I can now and avoid the kind of hassle later on that, you hear every day these stories, and I'm sure you do too, about
sure.
things that happen.
Yeah.
So
and
that's just what I'm.
No, and it's important to think about, because, you also want somebody to have access to your, to your accounting, your Quicken, whatever you're using as well. So it's a good talker. I mean, it's a good thing to talk about. Laura, thanks for your call today. And if there's any help afterwards, just give me a call back. You got my number. It's nice to be appreciated, isn't it? It just makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. And have you ever lost sleep or been late to work over binge watching on Netflix? If you have, you're not alone. It's not just that you didn't go to bed online. If you're feeling less energized, more than 3/4 of all Americans don't get those 8 hours of snoozing. Why? Because of their technology. That's right. A survey by the American Academy of Sleep Medicine found that 90% of all adults have lost sleep due to binge watching. So, what can you do? Well, if you're a chronic binge watcher, turn off autoplay. While it makes it super easy to go from episode to episode, it's designed to keep you engaged and watching. You can turn it off on Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Hulu. And also create a sleep timer on your TV. So this way, once the sleep timer comes on, that TV just shuts off automatically. And joining us right now here on the Kim Komando Show is our amazing content queen, Ali Seligman. Hello there, Al.
Hi, Kim.
So, you and I are together in our labor of love.
We are indeed. Might you be talking about the newsletter?
Oh my gosh, yes. And for those of you who don't know, every single day we put out what I think is the best tech newsletter in the entire universe. It's called The Current. And we started with about 140,000 subscribers, right, Al, in March?
Yep.
And now we're up to 470,000 subscribers.
That is pretty darn good growth. I'll take that.
I think it was, what was that number? 235%?
Yes.
Which is phenomenal.
Any number over 100%, I'm in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so now we have, and the way that you get it is you go to getkim.com. You go to getkim.com. And so, of course, anytime that you're talking about your business, you need to have specific growth strategies. And so, for example, one growth strategy with a newsletter is that you set up a referral program. And so you ask people who get the newsletter and they love it is to share it with their family members and friends. And then they can get valuable prizes, like they can get a tote bag. They can get a fanny pack.
Oh, a fanny pack. Well, and the really good part from our perspective, right, as the business and you as the business owner, referrals, those are free. Yes, we pay out the prizes and that does cost money, but it's not like we're paying a bunch of money for these people. And word of mouth, that goes a really long way.
And so, for example, if you refer 1,000 people, okay, we are going to give you $1,000. Right?
That's pretty darn good.
Okay, we're going to give you a $1,000 gift card if you refer 1,000 people. Okay, and so how can we do this? Okay. And how can you figure out how you can do this too? Is that you have to think of the long-term value of your customer. There's all kinds of formulas that you can use on the internet. We're not going to go through that here because that's like really high math. I mean, I can figure out percentages.
No, this is not a math show.
No, it's not fun. We don't want to do that. And then you have to figure out how much you're willing to pay for that customer. And so, we would like to pay around $1 for our customers. Yep. And so you can do this math. Okay. If you give us 1,000 new subscribers, we're going to give you $1,000.
Yeah, and it works out for us.
Okay. And then we also started taking out ads on Instagram and Facebook. And so there's magic behind this, but it's something that everybody can do, right?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Now, I will say, if you are totally brand new to any kind of paid marketing, it does make sense to use a person who knows what they're doing to get started.
Yeah, I have to tell you this. I mean, I thought for sure when we were probably, I don't know, probably June, July.
I loved this, yeah.
Okay, I'm sitting at Ian's house. Ian's my son. I'm sitting at Ian's house. I'm like, Ian, we should take out ads for the Current and we can figure this out. Okay, so he and I are sitting at the kitchen counter on a Friday night. And, put down the credit card on Facebook and put the parameters. We made an ad using Canva. And, $700 later, we realized that we got 3 people.
Right. So you just threw away $700, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's really common with small business owners, especially because you're just so used to doing everything yourself. But this is one where it's definitely good to take a little bit of that budget and pay someone to do it for you. We did that. You and Ian tried it and then you said, oh, Al, we need to find somebody.
Exactly.
So we've got a great guy named Jeff who does our newsletter ads. So I was talking to Jeff a little bit actually about ads, taking out ads. That's what we're talking about today. If you're going to pay for this stuff, you want to make sure you get bang for your buck, right? Nothing feels worse than spending your marketing dollars and you don't get anything back. I hate
that because you're sitting there I just threw away $700. And then I also have a business formula. And it's very aggressive, and I know that, is that if I spend $700, I have to go make $2,100.
Ooh, 3 times.
I have a 3 times. So
Did you see that math? This is a math show.
just did that right on top of my head, just right there.
If you are going to buy ads right now, the best place, I have read this in lots of different places. Jeff is seeing it with his clients all across different, different markets. You really want to go with Meta right now. It's Facebook and Instagram. They are driving the best, most qualified leads for the cheapest price. We've tried X, Twitter.
Failed.
Yeah, it didn't work. It's just not the one right now. Depending on what you sell, this was so crazy to me. Okay, in November last year, people just in the US spent $363 million on TikTok. In the TikTok shop. So, you know what? I kind of hate to say it, but if you're a company that sells a product,
you need to be there.
You should be on TikTok, especially if it's a lower price point, right? Because, when we're talking about a car dealership or a college, they can spend a ton of money on a lead because they're going to get a ton of money back. If you're selling $20 fanny packs, you can't be spending $100 a lead.
Not at all.
It won't sustain. Videos are huge in ads right now. So that is something to consider putting your money to. There are lots of AI tools that can help with this now, which is pretty cool. They're not great, but they're better probably than what you're going to make yourself if you don't know how.
So how long should these videos be?
Short. I would say no more than 30 seconds. Yeah. One more number that blew me away on our math show. Viewers are 4 times more likely to use YouTube versus another platform to find information about a brand or a product, and 2 times more likely to buy it if they watch a video versus just, scan something online.
Okay, so on YouTube, though, you want those to be full-blown, longer videos.
Those can even just be ads. You can
really?
take out ads on Facebook, 15-second ad showing your awesome product.
Nice.
That can convert a lot better than maybe a whole website, just because people get to see it in action.
So maybe we need to have you dancing around with the newsletter.
Oh, sure. I'll print one out. That's perfect. And then one more thing that I think every business should consider, this word, I know, influencers. Yes. I'm not talking about getting Kim Commando to post for you. I mean, you can. If you want Kim Commando to post for you, let us know. But there are categories called nano and micro influencers, and it's probably more affordable than most people think. So a micro influencer is generally around 10,000 to 50,000 followers on whatever platform. You're only going to be paying like $100 to $500 per post. And think about all that trust people have built up with those people.
So basically, if you see an influencer, how do you find them? I mean, I know you can DM them. I mean, because I get DM'd all the time, and I'm like, no. I get DM'd for do you want to wear our clothing? Do you want to get a sample of our food or whatever it may be?
There are agencies now. Just like with anything else, there are influencer agencies. And so there are sites that you can go to as someone trying to sell your product or service, whatever, and say, this is what I sell. I'm looking for somebody with around this many followers who would be a good fit for me. And then the business hooks you up with all the right people for you.
See, so my sister, Dr. Davidson, she's she is amazing. This woman has the patience really of a saint. She might even be a saint. But she has a school in Southern California, and her students are all learning disabled. Mm-hmm. They might have ADHD, they may have some DNA issues, whatever it is. And then she has 1 student to 1 teacher.
Wow.
Okay. And so it's just an amazing, and the progress that she does is just phenomenal. I mean, she can take a kid who cannot verbally express himself. And then she actually took one of these children, because I was looking at a case study, and he just graduated high school and is living by himself.
That's incredible.
Yes, it's just really great. So I've been talking to her about how to increase the enrollments in her school. And so, because she does virtual as well as in person. And she's going to start taking out Instagram ads.
Awesome.
And also Facebook ads. And because I've been working with her and Jeff, as a matter of fact, to identify who is the perfect audience. And as she said, somebody, we went through all the demographics, a mom between 35 and 45, and then, check certain boxes. They have to be in this zip code, and maybe have a membership into the Autistic Society or whatever it may be.
Sure.
So, and I think that's where she had no idea that she could do a micro target.
Yes, targeting, absolutely. Yes, you can. You don't just throw an ad up, and maybe this is kind of the trap that you and Ian fell into when you wasted that $700.
You did. We said anybody who had a phone. So.
Okay, that's everyone. That's
Right.
not targeted at all. You want to get pretty specific. If you get too specific, the price goes crazy. You want to aim for that nice middle ground. And I think influencers would actually be a really good route for Dr. Davidson to think about too, right? I guarantee you there are influencers who have autistic kids or kids with, things that she would want.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
We're gonna work on that. When I'm not working here, I'm gonna work on that.
When's that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Allie, great job as always. And if you are looking for more information about this, make sure that you sign up for our newsletter because, of course, we always do some follow-up type of work in there. Again, you can sign up over at getkim.com. All right, Matt in San Diego, glad to have you with us.
Well, first of all, I wanted to say I've come across your podcast just kind of recently. I've been aware of Kim's show and love it. Love the variety of topics, and you guys have fun. So my question, I guess it's in a broad sense, is I'm employed and I have a work phone and I have a personal phone and I have a side contract that I'm working on that is pretty involved in the sense of having an email with that company and such. And, I believe in kind of keeping work things off of personal phones, right?
Right.
But I don't want to carry 3 phones. In the old days, I would just go ahead and put the email on my iPhone and enter the server data and turn off the syncing of anything but email and hope for the best. These days, and with this particular company, they have Google, I think it's Google Workplace. It's kind of like Microsoft 365, right? You sign in, you stay signed in. Mm-hmm. And I'm a little bit leery because I know those products a lot of times have many other features built in that the company can access or activate. And I guess my general question is, if I were to log on and have that in my email, be it through the app or through my native email on my iPhone, but it requires that login, regardless of what phone, what are they able to see, to access? I've heard that they can have location in terms of even when you form a document on email. I would love to keep this on my personal phone, but I'm worried as how invasive this will be. Does it hijack the calendar? Does it get into other aspects of your phone? I typically have my phone locked down on my screen time in terms of restrictions. Nothing has cell service unless it's just 4 or 5 things that I use quite a bit. And I don't want to have my location turned off because it's my phone.
I know. It gets to be very confusing, doesn't it? It really does.
It does. It does. So,
and as you said, I don't want to carry around a third device because it's like, okay, what's going on with that, right?
Yes.
We use Google Workspace here. And as you mentioned, so astutely, it is just like Microsoft 365. Okay. And because it's Google, what does that mean? What is that? The P in privacy stands for, or the P in Google stands for privacy, right? Okay. So
right.
And with Google Workspace, if you disable location services on your device, Google should not be able to track the location. Okay. But here's the big but, okay, is that the administrators, they might have access to other tools. And so they might have location tracking as part of their policy. So they can go ahead and they can see your location if that's what you want. And then, of course, because it's all things Google, anything that you do Google related is then going to be tracked. And then it's also probably going to be accessible, right? Whether it's watching YouTube videos or, doing certain Google searches, Google Drive, right? Google Photos. It just keeps going on and on and on. So your best case scenario is that, if this is a job and they are using Google Workspace and you don't want them to know about the other things that you got going on, is that, what you can do is you can set up, maybe on, start using like a Chromebook or a laptop of some sort, and where you have different logins. And so one login will be when you're doing this job. Another login will be when you're doing this job. Another login will be when you're doing this job. Get my drift? So that this
yes.
So that this way, whatever you do in that particular space is just restricted to that particular employment. So if you know that if you're going to be doing something for, the 1099 job or whatever you're doing, is that you just use that particular login. So, unfortunately, that type of capability isn't available on a phone, especially on an iPhone, rather. I mean, you can kind of figure this out on an Android, and because it gives you greater flexibility. But if this were my job and this is what I was asking, this is what I was doing, I wouldn't be messing around with carrying 3 different devices. I would carry one device, a laptop, and just say, this is how I'm going to be handling this job. This is how I'm going to be doing this one. And again, you just have 3 separate logins so that whatever happens within that particular login is stay contained within that login. And then all the employers, they don't know what else is going on, and you don't have to worry about location tracking, admins, things like that. Just pick yourself up a cheap Windows laptop, or, if you want, you can probably get a refurbished MacBook along the way if money's a little bit tight. Hey, Matt, thank you for your call. Thanks for finding the podcast. Love to have new listeners. So exciting. And again, thank you. Hey, if you are running your business and you ever have a question for me that I can lend a hand to, let me tell you, I started my own business. I'm not part of any big network, and I'm proud to say that we have no debt and we have no investors. So if I can lend a hand in your business, just drop me a note. Head over to commando.com, and there's a link up there that says email Kim, and I read every single note that you send me. Okay, so what do you think that number is? What percentage of Americans routinely spy on their partner's phone, they check their texts, and they look at the location history? Are you ready for this? More than 50% of Americans confess that they have snooped on their partner's phone. Yeah, okay. I get calls on the show all the time from people worried about their phone spying on them. Anyone, not just hackers, can use these what's called spyware apps. These apps are sold with good intentions, like they want to keep kids safe from harm, or they want to prevent scams on loved ones, especially older adults. It makes sense, but they can be easily misused for spying and snooping. So how do you know if someone is actually spying on your phone? Okay, your first step is to check all your phone's apps. Look for ones that are tracking your text messages, all your phone calls and your videos and your pictures and social media. Basically, they give a copy of every single thing that you do on your phone. They have names like mSpy, Spy Bubble, Hoverwatch. These are big names, but basically look for any title that has the word spy. That's your clue. But seriously, if you have to spy on your partner's phone, there are probably much, much bigger issues in that relationship. Hey, do me a solid. Tell at least one person about The Kim Komando Show and sign up for our free newsletters right now over at getkim.com. Getkim.com.
Thanks for listening to The Kim Komando Show. Here's Hour 4.
I always like to kick things off with something super fun and interesting. And what kind of a boss do you think Bill Gates is? Okay, here's a fun fact about him. When he first started Microsoft, oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. Bill Gates would actually memorize the license plates of all the vehicles in the parking lot. This way, he could keep tabs on if they made it to work on time, or if they were working on the weekends, or what was going on. Oh my gosh, talk about a micromanager. But hey, I guess it worked out for him because Microsoft is now worth $3 trillion today. Oh, every time I talk about Microsoft, I'm always thinking about, they are working on software for self-driving cars. Yeah, I can't wait until my car suddenly stops in the middle of the highway and then reboots to just install the updates. Could you imagine? And on that happy note, you're about ready to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing. I'm Kim Komando, America's digital goddess, and you have tapped into the best, the biggest, the most trusted show about all things digital. And if you're a brand new listener to The Kim Komando Show, welcome aboard. So glad to have you with us. And if you're already a listener, welcome back. You can find my award-winning show on over 420 top radio stations throughout the United States. And you can also find us as a podcast, as a webcast 24/7, whenever you want to watch or stream or just listen over at commando.com. Just hit that button that says Commando Community. Now, if you're listening on the radio, we totally love that. Just a reminder, you can get The Kim Komando Show as a podcast in your favorite podcast player. Just make sure that you search for Kim Komando Show. That's right, not Kim Komando Today, Kim Komando Show. Well, you can get Kim Komando Today, too. You're going to love that. And I know that you have at least a few questions about something digital I can lend a hand to. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And if you're just too dang shy to come on a big-time show and podcast, I get that. You could always drop me your questions over at commando.com. Just hit that button that says Email Kim. Alrighty, that every single day I go to at least 35 different websites to make sure you're up to date on all things digital. And here are the 5 things you need to know that are happening right now in the tech verse. And, not too long ago here on The Big Show, I talked about why artificial intelligence isn't coming for your job anytime soon. So now, it seems like just a week or so later, it's looking more and more like AI for use in businesses has been overhyped and, yes, overpromised. Because here's the newsflash. Despite all the AI hoopla, most businesses that have invested the money and time to integrate AI into their operations, they are saying that they are terribly unimpressed and they are disappointed. They're disappointed because after spending millions of dollars, the best return on their investment is maybe 5%. And get this, most businesses have seen an absolute zero ROI. Now, here's an even greater problem. If implementing AI into your business takes more than a month, it becomes outdated long before anyone can see any benefits. So for AI to be implemented into businesses, 2024 is actually going to be like, show me the money year. And so far, it's not really happening. Moving on to number 2, Netflix just won the streaming wars. What? Prime Video, Peacock, Hulu, Disney Plus, and all the other streamers, they have been waging this costly war for your business. Costly because customers who can no longer afford them all, and costly because the services themselves. And finally, after years of this battle, we have a winner. Even though HBO Max had Succession, which was the biggest show of 2023, Netflix has totally won the streaming wars. It's the one service that we just can't live without. All 250 million of us. Gosh, could you imagine that business? You have 250 million customers. Yikes. The Netflix homepage is the most valuable piece of real estate in Hollywood. They say it's 21st century's version of going to the video store and walking the aisles. They don't offer something for everyone, but they have enough for almost everybody. Moving on to number 3, cyber kidnapping is on the rise. It's frightening thousands and it's stealing millions. Imagine this, your phone rings. It's a familiar number. It's your son, your daughter, your spouse. When you answer, this menacing voice informs you that they've kidnapped your loved one. Want them back? You better send in some money. It gets even worse. You hear your loved one plead with you, please, 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 mom and dad, send the money. You get a photo of them in chains and with duct tape over their mouth. You watch a video of them crying. So, of course, you wire a large sum of money to the kidnappers and you just wait. Hours go by, money's gone, and then you later discover that no one was really ever in danger. The voice was AI generated. That photo and that video was just deep faked. So what do you do if this happens to you? Call your loved one first or find someone who actually check on them, because kidnappers rarely call from the victim's phone. They're using some type of spoofing app. Let's talk about number 4, how your kids are finding online porn. If you've been putting off that conversation about online porn, you need to move up the date. A Common Sense Media survey has found that kids are stumbling across online porn at an earlier and earlier age. 15% say that they saw their first porn online at age 10. The average exposure is now 12. So most parents that live in this dream world saying that, this never happened to my kid. All right, let me tell you, there are just too many paths to porn, and parents, you just can't stay one step ahead. Almost every child has seen porn by the age of 17. They're getting into it through social media. As one care shares what he found with another, they can easily run across it online. So schedule that talk now. And to help out Get My Kids Tech Contract, it really does help set the rules. And it's totally free. You can find it at commando.com/contract. That's commando.com/contract. And finally, this coming in at number 5, a new tech product that's such a bad idea and it's really just destined to fail. Now, if you get your nails done like I do, you probably have a relationship with your manicurist. Now, done improperly, let me tell you, your nails can become painful. They can get an infection, and then your nails just quite frankly, they're going to look like crap. So enter a new tech AI product. It's called Numble, a $600 home robot manicurist. It's about the size of a shoebox, has this uninspiring beige plastic cover. So here's how it works. You stick your hand inside the box. Yeah, and you can't see inside the box, by the way. So you just put your hand inside this box. And if it works, in 25 minutes per hand, the little robot will fix you right up. Now, before you ask, nope, I haven't tried it. I mean, I'm not going to put my hand in a box that I can't see on the inside. Which reminds me of, yes, why did the dentist and the manicurist get divorced? Why did the dentist and the manicurist get divorced? You ready for it? Because they fought tooth and nail. Oh, that one hurt even me. All right, how about we start with Mank in Scottsdale, Arizona. Hello there, Mank.
Been listening to you a long time for several years, so I'm really happy to be able to talk to you. So thanks for taking my call.
You betcha.
So I'm a physician, and in our practice, I'm a gastroenterologist, and we do colonoscopies as part of our job. Mm-hmm. And a lot of patients who need to have their colonoscopies need to repeat them every 3, 5, or 10 years, depending on what you find when you do the exam. And we actually had a couple of people leave our practice over the last 2 or 3 years, and I started thinking about their patients that, you tell them in 5 years you need another colonoscopy, but that doctor's now left the practice, and maybe the rest of the doctors don't have enough, bandwidth to take those patients on. So what I was worried about is these patients might get lost and not be able to get their follow-up examinations. So what I was thinking is, in our practice, if we could create a QR code of some sort where we show it to the patient at the end and they scan it with their phone, that, and we use the appropriate one, that if you scan it and it'll put a reminder on your calendar that in 5 years from now you need a colonoscopy, or in 10 years, or in 1 or 3, whatever the situation is, and you would have different QR codes for each recommendation. And I tried to create it online because we've used QR codes for other things, but what I'm running into trouble with is trying to get it for a generic 5-year period. It seems like every time I try to create it, it'll create it for a specific date, but that would mean I would have to create a new QR code every time or every day I work.
Oh, gosh, we don't want to do that.
So I want one that just generically, you scan it today and it finds the 5-year mark from today, and if I do it tomorrow, so on and so forth. So that's kind of the dilemma I was running into. So I was thinking, maybe you might be able to help.
It's a good idea. I mean, it's actually a great idea. And, it's so nice to hear from a doctor who you're really concerned about the patient's well-being. I mean, and because you said, even if they're not coming into our practice, I still want to make sure that they know that they need to get a follow-up, because let's just face it, who wants to get a colonoscopy? No one, right?
Exactly.
He's like, you must be a fun guy at a party, right? I'm just kidding.
I've got stories. So.
I bet you do. See, I like when I go to a party, people ask me how to fix their phone. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. Let's talk about some options. But if you still want the QR code, I'm going to enlist the help of an IT genius. Okay.
Okay.
You ever thought about using an email reminder system, like email marketing?
Yeah, we have one of those in the office. We have email reminder, and then we also have text through our medical record system. Okay.
And then maybe in the patient portal, are you using Epic or anything? Is there anything that can pop up on that?
We have a portal. We don't use Epic. We use it's a company called Modernizing Medicine. They're based out of Florida, and so for gastros, it's called GMed or G Gastro. Mm-hmm. So it does have reminders and that sort of thing. But, the other thing I'm thinking about is if a practice shuts down or if a practice closes, then that EMR, that data goes away. And then once that practice closes, it's not like those reminders will go out in 5 years. So if the practice shuts down tomorrow, whatever's scheduled for the next 2 to 3 years, don't know how that will ever get out to the people.
Yeah, it's done. Did you use QR Code Monkey, QR Stuff, Go QR? Do you know which one that you used?
I did a bunch of them. I just Googled them all, had to register with my burner email so that, I don't get spam.
Yeah, awesome.
And just messed around with a bunch of them. And Adobe had one. There was one called QR Reader. I can't remember all the names. So.
You know what? This is what I'd like to do is that Jeremy and John, they are IT geniuses. Okay. You know how you have your friends who are doctors and you're like, whoa, these are really big doctors, right? Okay. I have John and Jeremy, and they are my IT geniuses. Okay. if anybody can figure it out, it's going to be John and Jeremy. Because maybe these QR code sites, maybe they do say, like you said, it's like it's one for that day, but we just want to pick like a date 5 years from now or 3 years from now or 7 years or whatever it may be. What I'd like to do is I'm going to put you on hold. I want to make sure that we have all of your details. Okay.
Okay.
And then John and Jeremy they'll figure this out for you. They will. They will figure out how to make this QR code, because I'll tell you, I have never been able to stump these two. Never. Okay. And I think really this requires somebody to sit down and say, okay, which is the best QR code generator? And how do we get it onto, because you want to get it on everybody's calendar, Outlook, Apple, Google, right? Okay.
Right, exactly.
And we want to make sure that they accept that appointment. And there's a few variables in here, but I do think that it's actually possible. We just don't know quite sure the exact steps to do at this time. So again, Meg, let's make sure that we have all your goods. And thanks for your kind words about the show. And I've never talked to a gastroenterologist before on the air, and that was pretty exciting. And thank you for your call. All right, Brenda in Tyler, Texas, you're up next.
Well, I have a question about my iPhone. Every day I get an unusual amount of texts from companies that are relevant. Say, for example, restaurants or businesses not in my area. And I try to unsubscribe, but it doesn't always work. And then some sites say that I have to put in my email address to unsubscribe.
Are you talking about text messages on your phone?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And when I do that, it seems like I get more ads. Like there's one site I visited. It was a craft store, a well-known craft store, and every day I get 2 to 3 texts.
That's annoying.
And yes, it is very annoying.
Have you tried to block it?
That's my question.
Oh, okay. So here's what you do: is on your iPhone, and you are inside the Messages app, is that you open the text message that you want to block, and then you look for the I button, the info button's in the top of the message, and then it's going to have right there, block this call or block this contact, whichever one it is. And then you'll just never, ever get a text from them again. You can also delete it. Now, in the newer, I don't know what kind of phone you have, which iPhone you have, or which iOS that you're running. But now, if you go to delete a text in the trash, it says, do you want to delete? Do you want to delete? Or do you want to delete and block? So you can delete and block. Now, there's also another thing that you can do is you open up your settings on your iPhone, that gear icon, and go into Messages. And then scroll down and then tap on Filter Unknown Senders. Filter Unknown Senders. And then you're going to have one folder of all the messages that aren't in your contacts, and then you can scroll through them from time to time. So try just to delete it, and then see if you get that option that says delete and block. But if not, you can go ahead and filter the unknown senders, or look for that I, as I mentioned, the info button. And then from there, look at details, and then you can just block that caller right there. Just think about this. If only it was that easy to block the bad people out of your life. I'm just going to hit that I right now while I'm looking at you. Boom. Gone. Never see you again. Maybe someday. Brenda, thank you for your call. Text messages, spam, so annoying, isn't it? Yes, it'll stop one day. I promise it will. All right, let's switch gears just a tiny bit and let's talk about incognito mode. I mean, would it be all right with you if somebody else just scrolled through your entire search history? I didn't think so. For your most private searches in Chrome, of course, you're going to head right into incognito mode. Now, you may have been under the illusion that if you used incognito, no one was tracking what you were doing. Well, as it turns out, that's not the case. After settling a $5 billion lawsuit, Google wants you to know that its Chrome browser's incognito mode, well, it isn't so private after all. Shocker. Okay, it has a brand new disclaimer. Here's what it says. Others won't see your activity, but websites, including Google, will. Let me read that again to you. Others won't see your activity, but websites, including Google, will. Okay, so that's not really incognito, right? So while incognito mode hides your browsing from others on your device, it does not stop Google and other websites from tracking you. So what can you do? You can always try Safari's private browsing, or you can use DuckDuckGo. My suggestion is always use a VPN. I mean, if you really want to cover your digital tracks online, you want to always be sure to use a VPN. And of course, we always recommend expressvpn.com/Kim. Hey, before we dive back into all of your phone calls, let's talk about the best TV settings for the big game. Because let's say you have that shiny new TV and you turn it on. Oh, but the picture's horrible. And you're like, what is this? Did I just get like a defective television? Nah, it's probably that your TV set isn't calibrated for your home's lighting. And this is a pretty simple fix. What you want to do is head right into your TV's display presets. Now, there you're going to find various settings like vivid, film, standard, and sport. So what you want to do is try cycling through each and every one of them to see which one that you like the best. Now, another way, use your eyes, okay? This, well, if you're not that handy, don't do this because you can really mess things up. But you can always go back to factory defaults. But you can take control in your picture settings. That's where you're going to find things like contrast, hue, brightness, sharpness, and color temperature. And you want to adjust them to your preference. And finally, the TV pros, the AV guys and gals, they use calibration DVDs. It walks you through each and every one of these settings. Now, thankfully, you don't have to have a DVD player anymore because, well, quite frankly, who has those anymore? Is now there are calibration apps for your phones and for your TVs. Here are some names for you to check out. THX TuneUp, CalMan, and Spectra CalMan. Now, if you're just like, what were those again, Kim? I missed them. Just go ahead and hit my website, commando.com. All right, before we go back to all of your phone calls, just want to tell you in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about how you can buy goods secondhand for cheap on Amazon. And then later on, 5 signs that a hidden tracker is on your car. And Satish in Allentown, Pennsylvania, welcome.
Hi, Kim. How are you?
I'm good. What's going on?
Well, I had a question regarding VHS cassettes and DVCs.
Okay.
So I have a lot of recording of kids' videos and other things. Now they are in VHS tape and later on the DVCs, digital video cassettes.
Sure.
And I'm trying to find a tool or any hardware software gadget that I can quickly transfer them and get them digitized. So first I'm looking for something to digitize those things, then store on a thumb drive or in cloud, and then I'm looking for a easy to use video editor so that I can take out some videos or put some chapters and things like that.
Wow, you need the whole shebango, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, there are services that will do this, but that could add up pretty quickly. How many tapes do you think you have and cassettes and everything?
I've got about 30 to 40.
Of VHS, and then do you have DVDs too?
Yeah, and DVDs, I can convert DVDs separately. That's not a big issue. But the small DVCs, like the one which I recorded on my a camcorder.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, the good news is that it's really this is really simple solutions now to put all this together. Like for example, you can hook your VHS player up to a gadget that will actually plug into your computer. You can plug your camcorder now into a gadget in the middle of the whole mix, and then that'll be connected to your computer. And then as far as software goes, I mean, there's always Adobe Premiere, which is a really good program, and it's easy to use. And there's also CyberLink Power Director. And if you have any audio that you want to clean up along the way, Audacity, that's Audacity. What I'd like to do, Satish, if this is okay with you, is I'd like to write this up as a tip.
Okay.
So that this way I can kind of point you in a direction because I know so many people have this question. I'm so glad that you call. Seriously. Because everybody has like these old VHS tapes and the high 8 tapes or whatever it may be. And it's like, okay, well, now what do I do with all these? Because I want to get these memories to the kids. And one of the things that's really great is after you capture all this content and after you edit it, Like you mentioned, put it on a thumb drive. No, Satish, that is not allowed. Okay. Okay. We're not doing that. Okay. I'm going to come to Allentown. I'm going to knock on your door and say, no, 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 no. Okay. We're not doing that.
Okay.
What you do is you create a private YouTube channel.
Okay.
And so this way, all the videos are stored in the cloud. And then you can share that link out with the kids, but it's not public, so other people can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
But then they always have a copy of it, and they can download it. They can share it with their friends, and it's really fun. It is, because I did that with some of my mother's old VHS tapes, and we shared it out with all the cousins and the grandkids and the great-grand. And so everybody's like, oh my gosh, look at Granny when she was so young, type of thing. It's really fun stuff. And of course, you can always store it in the cloud too, but I just I don't trust a thumb drive. So do you already get our free newsletter?
Yes, I do.
Excellent. Okay. So I'm going to make this a tip. How about for this Saturday? I'll make it a tip in the newsletter about how to capture all your video and analog sources and get them into your computer the easy way, the fun way. And then here's the software that you use, and then how to create that YouTube channel. And so it's all written step by step, because, it's such an important topic. It is such an important topic. And I know that will help a ton of people. And Satish, thank you for your call today. Just want to keep in mind those VHS tapes, while they're just sitting there in a box, they are totally degrading. And so you really, really, truly need to make sure that you're going to take some action on that. Now, I've seen some stats where they say VHS tapes will last 25 years, but if your luck is like mine, probably not. All right, let's say you really want to buy that expensive coffee maker, but it's like $1,000. Well, you can find a refurbished one online, but should you really buy it? Okay. What I want you to do is to first go over to Amazon before you start looking on OfferUp or Craigslist or eBay or anything like that. Amazon has a section, it's kind of tucked away, called Amazon Renewed. It claims refurbished products at low prices, but here's the deal. They're all guaranteed for at least 90 days. So what you want to do is go to amazon.com/renewed. There you're going to find all kinds of things, appliances and phones and laptops and headsets at a discount. Now, you don't know the full history of a refurbed product. So like anything else, it could be described as like new when it really isn't. So just make sure that you know the return window before purchasing. Again, that address is amazon.com/renewed. All right, Lynn in Kansas City, Missouri.
Well, my boyfriend has 7 kids and 9 grandkids so far, and he takes a lot of pictures and videos. And, of course, he's using his phone to do that, and he has an iPhone. And it gets full, and he has to move the files to a laptop. And he's got 2 laptops full of pictures.
Wow.
And and it makes it hard to use a laptop when it's full of pictures and videos. So what I was wondering is there an external device? He hates the cloud. He hates anything where somebody else might have access to his children's pictures. So I've suggested some pay for storage online virtually, but he doesn't want to do that.
Okay.
So I was looking for a device that he could tether to his iPhone and move the pictures to that, and then when he was ready to make a collage or a slideshow or whatever, he could tether that device to a laptop and go ahead and make that file.
Well,
does that exist?
You know what? You're on the right path. You are. You're on the right path.
Okay.
On your iPhone, there are maybe 2 or 3 different ways that you can accomplish this. Okay.
Okay.
The first way is that you can connect a flash drive, basically a thumb drive, they call them, flash drives, into the lightning port on the phone. And then you can transfer all the pictures off of the phone to the flash drive. And then from the flash drive, you can connect it someplace else or computer, whatever it may be.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of those because it is a thumb drive. It's a flash drive. And I don't know how many, you might have laying around, but I do. I'm like, I don't remember what was in that. And then, you lose them, you drop them, they break. And then, let's say, God forbid, that He takes all the pictures, he puts them on a thumb drive, and then the drive dies. And guess who's to blame, Lynn? You.
Right.
Okay.
Right, exactly.
We don't want that. And because he has so many pictures, if you're looking at, say, a 256 gig drive, SanDisk makes one, it's about $60. Okay. But he's going to need a lot more than that for everything that you are saying, because it's not like he just is going to stop taking pictures and that's going to be the end of it. So what we're going to be looking for is really an external hard drive that can work on Wi-Fi, that he can put an app on his phone, and then the app, then he can transfer pictures from his phone to the hard drive by using the app over Wi-Fi. Okay. So we're not going to be plugging anything in. And then because it's an external hard drive, an SSD drive, is that it's going to be fast. And then we're also going to be able to get some really serious storage space. Okay. And so here what we're looking for is a 2 terabyte drive. Okay. That's super fast, that allows him to get on it by using his PC or his phone. And it can just sit there, and at some point, might want to explain to him that he probably does need to back up this drive somewhere, in the cloud, because hard drives, they have a mean time between failure, just like our bodies do, So we want to make sure that it's all backed up in the cloud. But when you're looking at something like this, a portable external SSD is Wi-Fi, works with Wi-Fi rather, and apps. It does have point-to-point encryption, so he's going to like that security. And I'm going to send you over, I put you on hold, we're going to send you a link to this particular product on Amazon. It's about $165, $170. But this way it will just, it's a solid state drive. But because it's a solid state drive, is that it has really fast transfer rates, and it can give you large storage options. And so with those transfer rates, when he's sitting there transferring photos, no longer is he going to be like, sorry, honey, we can't go out because I'm still transferring photos and videos from my phone to my drive. No, it's not going to happen that way. So, fortunately, these gadgets do exist, and it can make life a lot easier. But yes, I just want to leave you at one thought, is that do make sure that he does back it up to some type of cloud account, so that this way, in case something does happen to that drive, that he doesn't lose all his photos, because he sounds like that he'd really be really devastated if that were to happen. So, Lynn, hang on the line. I'll be happy to send you out that link, share shortly. Yeah, that's always a problem if you don't want to use cloud storage, that's for sure. All right, let's see. Daryl in Lubbock, Texas, you're up next.
I've got 2 issues that I have no idea how to solve. I've got a barn that's full of livestock that I need to get a security camera to, and it's about a quarter mile away from the house. Mm-hmm. The second problem is I've got a remote house that's in another city that I need to get a security camera on, which doesn't have internet or anything of that nature. It's also in a remote West Texas remote area.
Okay.
Any ideas how to solve those 2 issues for me?
Well, you have come to the right place, my man. Okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Boy, so you're like the remote guy, aren't you?
Yeah, we're in the middle of a sand pit.
Are you? So how many people live in your community?
About 5,000.
Oh, okay. So everybody knows everybody's business, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
The way you say that. Yes, ma'am. They sure do. They sure do. Well, I'll tell you, here's the deal, is that there are some really good security cams that are solar powered. And instead of using Wi-Fi, they're going to use 4G connections. So these are really good for when you start talking about remote areas and, without any type of computer access, Wi-Fi, things like that. The one that we like to recommend is made by a company called Reo Link, R-E-O Link. And it has 360 pan tilt and solar, and it saves it all on a card. It's got night vision, has smart AI detection, good things like that. So what I'm going to do, Daryl, is to make sure that you get the right one. I'm going to put you on hold, and then Jeremy's going to pick you up, and then when he does, he's going to give you that link on Amazon so that this way you can make sure that's the right one. Again, it's made by a company called Reolink, but they make all kinds of security cameras. But I like this one because it's sturdy. It does great pan and tilt, and it has smart motion detection and alerts via cellular, and it's a pretty darn good little gadget there. Daryl, thank you for your call. All right, now let's talk about some signs that there could be a tracker on your car. Number one, if you hear any unusual buzzing, chirping, or beeping sounds, that tracker could be transmitting data. Now, you also want to be on the lookout for any loose wires. They could be connected to a battery-powered tracker hidden underneath the hood or maybe in the glove compartment. Number three, watch out for any magnets or metal objects stuck to the outside of your car, especially underside of the vehicle. 4 is your car's battery life. If you notice a sudden drop, a tracker could be using it, causing battery drain. And finally, you get alert from your iPhone about an unknown Apple AirTag. If you're on Android, make sure that you get the detection app from the Google Play Store. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us. And don't forget, I'm always at commando.com.